Good evening, YouTube. Good evening, everyone. And I'd like to welcome my guests, who are Pinge Music. Say hello, Pinge.
Hello, hello.
And you, James, 1978. Say hello, James.
Hello there, this is James Escroft, you James 1978. Well, that's my contractual obligation for the week.
The number of times.
Yes, I know. Sometimes I do actually mess up once in a blue moon, but anyway.
And we have, for the first time ever, we have Dee. Dee, why don't you introduce yourself and just tell us, I don't know, a random fact about yourself, something like that.
Great, no pressure there. Hello, my name's Dee. Random fact is my name's not really Dee.
Oh, okay.
Not that you're a private and secluded person or anything.
Sorry.
Known on YouTube as Dee Demon Witch.
Yeah. It's Dee Deedle now. Not that I make
Oh,
videos.
right.
Oh, come on! Couldn't it be Diddly Dee?
Deedly Dee.
And,
Aww.
yes, am I right in thinking that we are also joined by Gunderson?
Aye.
Aha. Right, okay, so as people out there probably know, Miley Cyrus has managed to offend again, and not just by her dancing or singing, but basically made, what is the basic? I'll open the article and quote her verbatim. Everyone's a little bit gay. It's the truth. Everyone's gay. All it takes is one cocktail, and if that doesn't work, sprinkle something in their drink. That's what I always do. Article linked in the description, and I will say there is the top video is pretty good, worthwhile, makes a good point, but should also really have a trigger warning. Now, what am I going to say about this? I'm not even going to go into rape culture. I'm going to say she felt entitled to make that joke because she's a woman, and there would be 10 times more fuss if she were a man and made that joke, or any joke to the effect of I commit date rape, ha ha ha. And yes, obviously the idea that where she doesn't seem to understand anything LGBTQ. Where to begin listing the things that she's done wrong there. But I'd say the worst is probably this, I don't know what that would be, a bisexual rape of straight people. Right. Well, I'm going to go in the order of people as I can see them, which means we begin with you, Pinge.
Oh, okay. First of all, I'm like so puzzled this. Why in the flying whatever do you do a rape joke at all? It's like, it's not fun. It's not even, how can you even try to do a fun thing with rape? So, and everything is for me, like, it doesn't matter if you talk about gay, straight, whatever. Rape isn't funny, so why try to do a rape joke? It's all over, it's over my head. Short, but I can't say no more about it. It's like, oh.
Aha. Okay, Dee, your take on this?
Oh, yeah, when you're saying going back to not only it's not only she possibly gotten away with it because she's a woman, if she had been a rapper, a male rapper, because there are female rappers, so, if she'd have been a male rapper, I think the headlines would have been very, very...
And black.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
More so than any other, because it's not just an issue of sexism. It's an issue of what surrounds certain attitudes towards certain genres of music. So yeah, if it had been a black male rapper, I think we'd been hearing a very different story in the media. Sorry.
Yeah, and Gunderson?
I think it's problematic in so many ways. I mean, one, because it's basically equating homosexuality with, same-gender rape. And also, the fact that that's also considered, which is considered funny a lot of the time. And that. I'm sure I had something else to say. I will say I don't think all rape jokes are necessarily bad, but I think it depends on the intention and who you're telling it to. So you don't say it to a fucking someone you know is a survivor of rape without any warning. And also, if it's not actively at the expense of the victim, I wouldn't say it's necessarily problematic, though. But, yeah, it's just... It's a fucking horrible thing to say. It's just fucked up in so many ways. I can't really think of anything else to say other than that.
Also, if she's implying that she's bi, it's not exactly great for bisexuals who get who have our own problems anyway. To kind of suggest that a bisexual is somebody who, or anyone who sleeps with both sexes, we'll say go with bisexual as the label there, is some ravenous beast that can't help themselves, which is one of the stereotypes. You know, if it's got legs, I'll fuck it. You know. And James,
wait. And the thing is, it's also on top of aside from the rape remark, it's also buying into the old bullshit that sexuality, the Kinsey scale, whatever it's called.
Yes, Kinsey.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so-
Well, a little, yeah.
The
I think
idea. Go ahead.
I think it's kind of saying that, well, I mean, insisting that anyone, when someone tells you that they're only attracted to one gender or whatever, then they probably mean it. Yeah, they probably know better than you. So, I mean, saying, oh, everybody's a little bit gay or straight or whatever is just, fuck off.
Yes, one of my favourite memes on the internet regarding this. You're obviously defining your sexual orientation incorrectly. Here, let me do it for you.
Yeah. And I would add to that the sort of, because you can make a joke about everybody. What's the difference between a heterosexual and a bisexual? 5 pints. I've heard that joke. Nothing wrong with that joke. That doesn't actually offend me. She didn't need to take it where she took it. Also, that would be more obviously just a joke. She's actually said that she sprinkles things in people's drinks.
Yeah, the implication of that is that,
Yes. So, your thoughts, James?
Yes, going back to what Dee said about how if this was a black gangster rapper, it is another example regarding rape and sexuality in general, that it's not what you say as much as who you are. The fact that she is a woman, the fact that she is bisexual, and obviously lesbian rape isn't a problem. It's when men rape women. Oh God, that's the. Oh, but no. Oh yes, it's not rape if she's drunk. It's not rape if. This is the whole going on a divergent note. The whole teach men not to rape. The attitude of people. Well, you can't. No. The rapists rape. Teaching us not to rape is stupid. Well. You did kind of coerce your girlfriend. Oh, no, that's not rape because she's my girlfriend. It's not rape because we have a pre-existing relationship. It's not rape unless she fights back. It's not rape if. It's not rape if. It's not rape if. People have a set idea of rape in their minds of a masked man, usually black, Hispanic, or Asian, Muslim, wearing the full ski mask, at night, leaping out upon a woman from the bushes. Anything, preferably, usually beating her or threatening her with some kind of weapon. This is why rapists, the conviction rate for rape is so incredibly low unless it matches those circumstances. This is why so many rapes throughout the world are immediately dismissed as unfounded if they don't fit that criteria. Oh, well, a husband can't rape his wife. It's her marital duty. It was the law here in Britain until 1969, and it is the law still in many parts of the world. And even in those countries where it's not the law, it's still the assumption. So this getting back to Miley Cyrus specifically, first of all, everyone's a little bit bisexual. No, they are not. There is just no other way to say it. I've mentioned this in previous podcasts that would you go back in time and kill Adolf Hitler? No, I'd go back in time and kill Kinsey. But again, he didn't create the idea of sexuality being correlated directly with gender. So lesbians are attracted to women because they're more masculine. Gay men are attracted to men because they're more feminine, and bisexuals are in the middle, and fuck off. No, he simply articulated the assumptions and the bigotries which still exist. And yes, this idea that it's only a joke. What Gunderson said about the intent of the joke. If you are making fun of the rapist or mocking and ridiculing the rapist, absolutely. If you are mocking,
not even necessarily that.
But just to create the contrast. And if you are mocking, if you are pointing to the absurdity of a situation, making it clear, it's a fictional scenario in which there is no trauma involved. That is another. But then, if you are mocking and ridiculing the rape victim, go and fuck yourself in the face with a chainsaw.
I mean, yeah, I think I have heard it is the intent behind it. What also concerns me, because I mean there is a comedian who does do a joke about rape. I forget his name, but it is quite funny because
Jimmy Carr.
No, it's an American guy, oldish
Rich
chap.
Hall.
No, older. I keep thinking I had his name in my head a moment ago. And it's completely
George
gone.
Carlin.
George Carlin, that's the one. He does quite, he's the way he does it. I can't actually think offhand how he does it, but the way he does it is quite amusing. It's quite clever. But what concerns me here is that, but he knows his audience. His audience are, I would say, generally speaking, reasonably intelligent adults. What concerns me here is who is Miley Cyrus's audience?
Very stupid kids.
Yeah, that's concerning because, I mean, if she said that joke privately amongst her friends who knew she was just having a laugh, it's not,
I still think it's problematic.
It's still problematic, but it's a private thing, and it is the kind of thing one could say off the cuff just for the lols type of thing in a certain, what I mean. But to be saying it publicly, knowing who her audience is, I think is extremely irresponsible.
Again, if we do like a rape joke that we talk about here, you have to do. You cannot do it in a whim, like blah 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 blah. You have to think it through. You have to think the consequences of the joke. You have to understand that the audience, the people that are going to listen, and so on and so forth. Then you can actually make a joke about everything. But this thing with Miley Cyrus was like, I don't think at all. I say it.
I agree. I mean, what I was really saying was, as long as it's not actively at the expense of the victim, real or fictional, then it's not necessarily problematic. Or in fact, it probably isn't problematic, even if it's not at the expense of the rapist necessarily.
again, just fans. If young female fans in particular, if you want to meet me, that's okay. If I fancy you, I'll put something in your drink and rape you. Again,
No,
if a
I mean
man said
that is like. I'm just that I mean, or if it's oh yeah, there's sorry, there's another thing. Also, if it contained like myths or bigoted assumptions or loaded assumptions about what rape is, then
yes,
that's the other kind that doesn't sit well with me. So like this, for instance, this one.
And sexuality as well. That's.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say a couple of things there. For one, I mean, yes, I mean, she was a Mouseketeer. So the original outrage regarding Miley Cyrus was all the twerking and everything, and the way she dresses, because she had a Disney audience who have grown up with her. But really, that Disney audience who have grown up with her, kind of bad modelling there. But also, especially as we've discussed in the past, a lot of kids aren't really taught about consent properly, if at all. Another thing, one of the reasons that I don't like, basically I'm one of those not all men people that have been sort of under attack by certain so-called feminists recently. And when you say something, when you phrase it as don't teach women not to be raped, teach men not to rape, or men need to be taught this, men need to be taught that, there are two types of rape victim, male rape victims and the victims of lesbian rape, that those so-called feminists are pissing on from a great height and throwing under a bus. Great job, feminists, pissing on rape victims.
I would not agree with that, Alex. I've made videos on this subject before. Although rape is rape, there is no question about that. I am not saying, of course, all rapes are bad, but it is simply the fact that the overwhelming majority of rapes, more than 90%, no matter which statistics you look at, are committed by men against women. Yes, the fact that lesbian male victims of rape, transsexual victims of rape, and female victims who were attacked by other women are still ignored by society. This isn't a question of feminists throwing certain groups under the bus. This is dealing with the larger pile of shit before moving on to the smaller but equally stinky and grotesque piles of shit, which still need to be dealt with. This is as I say, the almost universal perception of rape. If you say the word rape, the fact that the image that appears in people's minds is a masked ethnic minority man leaping out of the bushes and attacking a woman in the dead of night in a park or some other public place while she's walking to her car. That hurts everyone. Female victims of date rape, victims of female-on-female rape, male victims of rape. We can only break down that issue one at a time.
But if you alienate people like me, then you're failing to get your message across. When those feminists could easily phrase it in an ambiguous way.
But again, if you phrase it in an ambiguous way, how do you get the impact? It is again this whole. It is a whole question of perception. The fact, what again, this is a divergence, excuse me, but the point I was making before, it's not what you say necessarily, it's who you are. The fact that feminists are telling men not to rape pisses us off.
which just makes them look like misandrous.
No, but that's the thing. The assumption that what is 99% of the human population's immediate thought, immediate image, which appears in their minds when they hear the word feminist, hairy-legged, man-hating lesbian.
Okay, I'm going to let Gunderson chirp in at this point.
I'm going to say that in response to things both of you have said, one, regarding the whole how much of rape is male on female, the thing is, I wouldn't say that with such certainty, because the thing is, even male on female rape is underreported, so just imagine how underreported other forms of rape are. That's definitely something to keep in mind.
Yeah, I could imagine males being raped by another male.
Well,
or by a female. Is going to find it far more. I know this may sound crazy, but I wonder myself sometimes, if I were raped, would I have the mental fortitude to not only report it to the police, but to take it through court and go through it all again in the court situation? And I'm not some mild, meek little girlie.
Yes,
do you know what I'm saying? So I can see where Gunderson's coming from on that.
Absolutely. Unreported rapes are a major issue, which again comes down to society's attitude that if it doesn't fit our image, our definition of rape exactly, then women are effectively wasting their time, putting themselves through severe emotional and psychological trauma of reporting it to the police, of going through the entire court process, when there is such a when there is such a minuscule chance of actually securing a conviction. But the problem, though, Gunderson, with your point about unreported rapes, we can't begin. As much as we might want to, we can't allow ourselves to be dragged down the road of what if. Yes.
I'm just saying it's something we need to keep in mind.
Oh, yes, but for example, I constantly point out the fact that never mind the fact that I pointed out. The fact is that the rates of rape in Japan are 23 times lower than the rates of rape in the USA, to which the common, when you take population size into account, to which the common response is, what about the unreported rape? What about the unreported rapes? To which, again, the rates of unreported rape are 60% in the United States. Almost for every one rape that is reported, 2 go unreported. And even then, out of those, so many are declared to be unfounded, what the MRAs call false rape allegations, because of the reasons I went through earlier. And then again, the whole MRA, oh yes, the entire justice system is biased in favour of women, so that men are thrown into prison based on nothing but the woman's accusation. Fuck off!
Then why are the conviction rates so low?
Exactly.
Because we're all making it up. But I do, taking on what Gunderson was saying to some extent, is how serious, if a man's raped by a woman, how serious is it taken? But that's. It's again, because if people might say, well, if he wasn't sexually stimulated, why did he get an erection? Well, because men get actually. Sorry.
Nothing.
Oh.
Go on.
Men. Okay. If you can, the fact that he got sexually, got an erection still doesn't mean it wasn't rape.
Yeah. Why not say? The woman was wet. I think we did used to say the woman was wet, so it wasn't. And also, how do they think farmers extract semen from male animals?
Yeah.
Sorry, Alex, is there something you want to say?
I was going to say it's probably time for closing thoughts.
Can I want to finish. I want to say what I was going to say to Alex.
Okay. Oh yeah, I did have 2 points. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would also say that just because they're saying kind of agreeing with what James said, just because they're saying we need to teach men not to rape. I don't think that's necessarily throwing the other victims of rape under the bus. But granted, I think it could. They could be a bit more clear in what they're saying. And yes, we do need to teach everyone about consent.
Yes, this is a conversation I had with Aaron, the Bad Cop 69 on YouTube. I can't remember his new channel name, but the teach men not to rape placards. Well, if they're not being misandric, etc., 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 well, why don't they say that as well? It's a placard. You can't put. What do we want? Fair and equal treatment for all rape victims, including the victims of lesbian rape. And yes, this includes so-called date rape, because what she would.
Yeah.
Can you send me the book? Thanks.
Yeah, it does have to be a soundbite, doesn't it?
I could come up with loads of better ways, and I've seen better ways of phrasing it. And but I think my point that if you alienate people, it's part of feminism being an echo, or a lot of feminism being an echo chamber, which is a problem. The other day, James conveyed something to me that I was supposed to have understood from the feminist articles I've read. You're in an echo chamber, but you're also trying to say we want to communicate this, possibly even to men who barely know what feminism is. It's like an essay. Imagine. You want to convey this. When you're writing your essay, imagine you're writing, imagine the examiner has no idea what you're talking about, has never heard of it before. That's what you're taught, and that's what they need to know, as well as getting better PR. Because otherwise, I think it's utterly counterproductive, and I can see why people get sick of them. I can see why a couple of weeks ago, Queenie said she no longer identifies as feminist, because she got sick of all the fucking misandry.
Just as a closing point to put the counter argument to that, feminists have done more to help to raise awareness of victims of rape in prisons, men's prisons, than MRAs or the rest of society effectively put together. So yes, feminism definitely has its problems. Feminists definitely need to learn how to communicate better, but at the end of the day, we can't. This isn't a feminist versus MRA issue, or rape affects everyone, and this is the overall message that society as a whole needs to learn.
Okay, well, to give my own closing thoughts, I'm going to point something out, which is I'm in, of course, the UK, as are James and Gunderson, and this is something that varies throughout... Andy, yep, sorry. And this is something that's true, I think, in a few countries, and there are sort of slight variations on it, like whether there's implement used or what have you. But in the UK, where I live, if the victim's a man and the perpetrator is a woman, it's not actually called rape. They can only be arrested and charged and prosecuted for sexual assault. It's a type of rape that we don't even call rape. So society's already thrown a big fuck you in the face of all those rape victims. Right. Going around again, closing thoughts and goodbye from Pinge?
I think everything is said from me. It's like sad way to do a joke, and this rape. I think feminists can use a better language on their placard and so on, and I think they might alienate people and think, but on the other hand, they have done good things too. So I'm like, I rest there.
Okay, Andy?
Well, you actually touched on something I was thinking about earlier, in that in some states in America, rape, that there are some places where it specifies that rape is specifically penis vagina. So even if you're a woman and you're raped and they use some other implement, it comes. So we need to realise that sexual assault can be as bad as rape, because it's the same thing. But anyway, basically I think the big issue here is who said it and the audience she was addressing. She's making light of not only date rape, But also, it's okay to drug your date rape victim. To a bunch of people who I'm assuming to some extent aren't really emotionally and sexually mature enough. So it's she shouldn't be making these jokes to the audience she has.
I'll agree there. And Gunderson?
I reckon that. Yeah, it's kind of touching on what Dee said, that it's any non-penile penetration that's considered not rape. What of either the vagina, mouth, or anus? That's all that's considered rape in the UK. Which means yes, if it's done with any other foreign object, it's not rape. If it's done by a woman, it's not rape. So yes, it's. I don't know if this is what you're trying to say, but if it's not really it's because of people's, as James said, people's preconceived notions of what rape is. So it doesn't even across, when they pass this legislation in Westminster, they probably wouldn't have even considered the possibility that yes, a woman can rape someone. Or rape can be done with a foreign object.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And James?
Yes, moving to Sweden, Pinge's homeland, one of the most disgusting cases I've read of in recent years. A trans woman a man attempted to rape a trans woman in Sweden, but got off scot-free because the trans woman in question didn't have a vagina. Thus making the rape impossible under Swedish law.
Yeah, that makes me ashamed of even being in Sweden. Oh.
Yes.
I don't think it would just be in Sweden that would count, though. But sorry,
well, yes, there are many parts of the world in which that travesty would count, but of course that was the one case which I remember.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, at the end of the day, the reason why Miley Cyrus can get away with making such a disgusting and offensive and potentially dangerous joke is cruel, abusive and insulting, but a joke nonetheless. Not because it was funny, but because it shows the absurdity of our society. The reason why she can get away with it is because, as I've discussed and Gunderson and others have agreed, this idea that rape is X. That rape is a man raping a strange woman, so it's not date rape if a woman puts something in another woman's drink or puts something in a man's drink. It's and even the prefix date in date rape. No, that's not real rape. It's a subcategory which isn't as bad. Oh, for fuck's sake. Society still has so far to go.
Mm-hmm.
And on that bombshell, good night from Pinge.
Yeah, good night tonight.
Good night from Dee.
Good night from Dee.
Good night from Gunderson.
Bye.
And good night from James.
Great holy donkey, forgive us, for we know not what we do.
If we don't have the hamster, we have James and his holy donkey. And it's good night from me.